watching Political Conversations.
Good evening and welcome to Political Conversations on Freedom Square TV. Of course, you know we are reaching you from Enugu. Enugu is the coal city state. Of course, the capital of Southeast Nigeria. But of course, on this platform, this is where ideas meet facts and democracy meets dialogue. One question that a lot of people have been asking is Enugu state ripe for a political revolution? Or is it trapped in a cycle of familiar faces? Many contend that since 1999, so to speak, to date, that what we have seen in Enugu state is a cycle of old faces. The question is, are they doing well? If they are doing well, they could last as long as they want. But one man is pessimistic about what these old faces have been doing. And so today, we'll be talking to, I don't know what he accepts to be a chief.
No.
Okay. He's simply Mr. Ndubisi Enechioya. Of course, he's a chartered accountant, an ex-banker, so to speak. And they taught him as a man with integrity. The immediate state chairman of APGA in Enugu State. He is a staunch believer in Onyaga na Nwanne and believes APGA is the only vehicle for a new product or a new productive Enugu State. So, Ndubisi, good evening.
Good evening, Doctor. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes.
APGA is one of the vehicles. It can't be the only vehicle.
It's one of the vehicles. Okay. Thank you. We'll be talking about strategies to rebuild APGA.
Okay.
And because a lot of people believe, rightly or wrongly, that APGA seems to be we'll say in a coma, or is been resting since the 2023 elections. It's for you to say yes or no. But the fact is, as a former chairman of APGA, what, in a very candid opinion, was the biggest factor that prevented your party from winning the governorship in Enugu State, despite strong grassroots efforts in 2023?
All right. First was the obedience movement, because before the obedience movement came, it was clearly an election between APGA and PDP, and then the obedience movement came and shifted, everything to the left. So basically, it was clearly the obedience movement that caused the problems of APGA in 2023. Before the obedience movement, APGA was the front-running political party, and you should be able to attest to that, because when Frank Mweke came, Frank Mweke was a mini P2B in Enugu. It was just that a bigger P2B appeared on the national horizon and then swept the southeast political landscape. So major reason was the obedience movement.
Many people touted, and many people believed, they thought, maybe wrongly, that P2B was going to align with Frank Mweke Jr., given their past antecedents and things like that. But it never happened. Do you know why it did not happen? Why? Of course, they couldn't work together, so to speak.
First, they were in different political parties. Clearly in different political parties. Labour Party had a candidate who was also...
Peter never campaigned for that Labour candidate.
Well, we'll talk about Peter and campaigning for others later.
Okay.
Peter not campaigning for a Labour candidate, for me, it's not an anomaly. Because all the while Peter was in APGA, he never campaigned for the APGA candidate. But the fact that they were in different political parties played a major role. I know that they had a relationship, outside the political space.
Okay.
And, Frank had a lot of people around P2B who even endorsed him. Aisha Yusuf endorsed him. He had conversations at some time with the then vice presidential candidate. So he had a close relationship with them. But because they were not in the same political party, which is my own conjecture, okay, it was very difficult for P2B at that point to come out and say, Enugu, please, I'm supporting Frank Mweke.
Frank Mweke did support P2B, albeit openly.
Well, Frank Mweke said he was frankly obedient.
Yes, he said so.
But frankly obedient could be interpreted in several ways. But yes, Frank felt that at that point that an Igbo candidate was a right thing for Nigeria. And he was one of those people who were not within the labor structure who actually spoke out for Peter Obi. Yes, but on the election day proper, would Frank have caused people to vote for Peter Obi? That's another question. So supporting somebody on the election day when you have your own candidate, would you be able to support that person on election day against your own candidate? Because Abga also had a presidential candidate, although he wasn't very vibrant. But that not being vibrant was also an internal problem within the party. But we had a presidential candidate.
Okay, let's try to evaluate the current structure of APGA. As chairman, people may not agree with me, but you led APGA, creating the grassroots movement, so to speak. And the grassroots movement was real. It was organic. It wasn't the kind of mad crowd renting that people saw. And that's one thing people give thumbs up for you. Now, the issue is, following the elections of 2023 and several political shifts, how would you evaluate the current state?
Well, let me not take credit entirely for APGA. APGA has always had a grassroots movement, particularly in the southeast.
You know, the box stops on the table of the chairman.
No, and if you look at the grassroots movement of APGA, you find people who have been there since APGA started, and they are still there. They've not benefited from being in power, but they are there because the party is in their heart. And the person who will take first credit for creating that kind of movement, I think, is Ojukwu. Because a lot of people followed APGA because of Ojukwu. And then when Ojukwu died, we now had a crop of leaders who didn't understand the vision. Remember that while Ojukwu was alive, APGA won Imo under Rochas. And then after that, it looked as if the party was regressing. But at every point in time, the APGA grassroots support is always there. 3 weeks ago, APGA did a congress for local government elections. And the NSEC people went there. They were surprised that they could still see those number of people. You know, you would ordinarily think that nothing is happening anywhere else in Enugu. But they went there and they saw a crowd of people preparing for local government election, not general election. So APGA has people who have APGA in their hearts. It's not about winning an election. The Onyanga and 1 year principle, this is our own. Because we're also saying this is our own. But Ojukwu will take credit. But what we did was to try and galvanize that old support and then find new people to also make the party stronger.
Okay, one thing people had always believed, and that APGA remains a very credible opposition to whether it's the PDP or the APC in Enugu State. Given its current status, do you think you still hold that status?
Well, the challenge I have, and that is my real challenge for opposition, because people call me and say, what are you saying when something has happened? And my own challenge is that we came for election, presented a candidate, told you what we will do. Some of you collected money and voted for the person who also told you what they will do. Now they are doing what they will do after you have voted for them. And then you are calling me to find out what I'm going to say. It doesn't gel. There's nobody whose job is opposition. Why I got into politics is to find a way to make sure that people have a better life. And that's why I got into politics. So it's a subject of choosing your fights. APGA as it is today, it's still an opposition, but different people are running it, and those different people have their own different characteristics. When I was running it, because I couldn't keep quiet when I saw things going wrong, I was always speaking out. Yes, and that is me. It's not because APGA said I should speak out. You know, so the characteristics of the people who are in charge, but it doesn't diminish from the fact that APGA is a grassroots party, that the people have APGA in their hearts. The problem is a disjoint, and I keep saying it. People say I criticize. Somebody said to me, I always criticize Soludo. I said, no, I'm not criticizing Soludo. But if you have a party that has such a grassroots support, and there's a disjoint between what the people want and think and what the leaders want and think, then there's a fundamental problem. Because when you were talking about part of the things that threw APGA under the bus in 2023, for me, one of the reasons why APGA was also thrown under the bus was that Soludo unnecessarily picked up a fight that wasn't his fight, and then picked up a fight against P2B, which was unnecessary, and which I consider he did because he wasn't on the ballot. Because if he was on the ballot, he would not, he wouldn't do what he did, which diminished the chances of the party's candidates, particularly in National Assembly elections, because they had the same elections on the same day as P2B. So it's not a criticism of Soludo per se, but it's a criticism of a process where you have a political party that has a grassroots support, but is undermined by the so-called leaders of the party.
Let's talk about financial capability of about our APGA. Well, you see, in Nigeria, good citizens, well-behaved men who wear suit and tie, you find them, they don't normally win elections in Nigeria. You need to have the financial muscle to so to speak, bulldoze your way to victory. And so many complain that current financial status of APGA is a bit deficit compared to the PDP, the APC, and the emerging ADC.
Well, of course, if a party has 30 governors, the financial state will be better than a party that has one governor. But having said that, elections are not all about money. And this is an argument I have made. You know, they used to say Enugu is a PDP state. And I say Enugu is not a PDP state. The only way you can test whether Enugu is a PDP state is when we have free elections. And every time we've had a semblance of free elections, PDP has lost. 2023 is a clear example. Every time we've had a semblance of free election, PDP has lost. So how is it a PDP state? And that comes to your aspect of money. Money is very important in elections, but money is not the only thing. You know, money is not the only thing. If a party organizes properly and elections are significantly free, then every party has a chance to win. PDP had much more money than Labour in 2023. But because the elections were a bit free, PDP did not win. So this concept of one party being richer than the other presupposes that at the end of the day, elections are bought. And elections are bought because elections are very usually not free and fair in Nigeria. If elections work, even a party that doesn't have any governor, a party that doesn't have any money can win if they organize properly.
Well, this is Nigeria.
Yes, but we've texted in 2023. Labour didn't have as much money as PDP, but they won in Enugu. You would already think that Enugu is a PDP state. 2003, when APGA, the first time APGA emerged, you know, that election until today, because of the way the election happened, you could never say who could have won because the election didn't actually hold. You know? So what I'm saying is that money is important, but money is not the only thing. And it's been proven over time that a group of people who can organize properly can surmount the disadvantages of money.
Let me be direct and ask you this question. There's evidence abound about what has been referred as a very successful world-level consultative meetings, especially in 2022 in APGA.
Yes.
And it's only a blind man who would not have noticed that there was a world-level, very consultative meeting that took place. And how can the current leadership, because they're no longer there, how can they reestablish these world-level meetings?
Well, first is that one of the challenges that we have is not just APGA. It's about all the political parties. Is that once we finish elections, everybody goes home. Or everybody faces their businesses, particularly the opposition. But the opposition is not easy. You know, if you're in the opposition, you have to feed your family. So when elections finish, you won't blame any opposition person who goes to start looking for what to eat. So that is what normally happens. But like I said, the grassroots support of APGA is still there. And there are efforts now to start galvanizing it. Yes, it's close to elections, But that effort has started. I gave you an example of 3 weeks ago when they did a congress for local government elections. And even the NSEC guys were surprised. They thought that the only thing that happened in Enugu was tomorrow is here. That's what they thought. Yes, but there are other things happening at the background. And then unless elections, and that is the way we are, it's not about that. The closer we get to elections, the more people get involved in what is happening. And so the grassroots support is there. But it is something that needs to be cultivated, on and on. But the process has started.
Yes, typically in Nigeria, you don't cultivate you don't till the ground if you don't have enough manure and and water to till it. It's a very dry land. It's difficult to till. A lot of people left APGA after the 2023 elections. You're no longer chairman, but as the chieftain of APGA. What would you recommend to the current leadership so that those members who left could be brought back to APGA?
Well, there are conversations, with those members. The party is constantly in touch with them, trying to bring them back. But even if you look at APGA, it's not peculiar to Enugu. If you look at the APGA, for instance, we had a Senator Abaribe, we had a House of Rep member. Both of them has joined the ADC. And part of the problem is that APGA at the national level has not, clearly shown any direction that they want to go to. And, politicians want to be sure what is happening. And when Soludo keeps saying that he's supporting Tinubu for a second term, a lot of people are fidgety, a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. So we're in conversation with all the people who have been in the party. A lot of people, as you don't look, it's not as if they've left. A lot of people just are watching to see what will happen. And then give us 3-4 months. Let's have this conversation in 3-4 months, and then we'll see actually who is in APGA and who is not. There's a lot of conversation going on the ground.
Okay. There is this concept which I mentioned in my introductory speech. That is, APGA is known for being
your
brother's keeper. Now, this ideology, how can it be effectively communicated to an Enugu youth who may be looking for economic opportunities, not just identity politics?
Well, and that is the challenge of opposition politics. The challenge of opposition politics is that the party in power has so much presence that sometimes when you want to cultivate a different opinion, it is difficult to pass on. And that is where we are in Enugu. If you look at, I was talking to somebody the other day. If you look at all the Southeast states, what has happened in Enugu has never happened anywhere. And that is because of the nature of the people that we are. It's never happened anywhere that a governor left a party, went to another party with the whole ESCO of his party. It's never happened. And then the ESCO of his party transformed into the ESCO of another party. It's never happened. It's historical. And it can only happen in Enugu. And that is the kind of people that we are. So if you have those kind of people, it will take much, much stronger effort to cultivate whatever new policies or new ideologies that you want to. But it's a work in progress. It's something that we're already doing, and it's something that we need to do a lot more of, because the alternative is not APGA per se. It's a normal Igbo. I don't know what it is, but that is the way the Igbos have always been. Yeah. Be your brother's keeper is a normal Igbo phrase, So it's just going back to our roots, adopting what we've always done, and then seeing how it turns out at the end of the day. Does it make us better people? I think it will.
Well, one trend that is common among political parties these days is the issue of being technologically driven. I don't know how far this is playing in APGA. How would a new APGA, so to speak, fiscally fall into this digital mobilization and party membership management? I don't know whether you've keyed into this.
APGA is the first party that started online registration.
Really?
Yes, and they started online registration before 2023. We started online registration. A lot of parties are doing online registration now. We started online registration before the 2023 election, but because the parties that are doing it now have publicized it a lot, it seems as if it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. APGA started online registration before the 2023 election. Now they've improved it so that anybody can register anywhere. So it's not a new thing. APGA has always been technologically driven. The National Chairman of APGA is a young boy. So it's not the old, long hat wearing people. Now he's a young boy, he understands technology. And we've been in technology long before now. So it's not a new thing for us. APGA has always been online. And it's been there even before the 2023 election.
Well, that's good to know. Many people believe that APGA is an Anambra party.
Mm.
And that belief, was now one, because consistently over the years, APGA has remained the party to beat in Anambra State. So many now see it as an Anambra party. But how can APGA actually transform itself to being truly an Enugu native movement?
Well, first, let me talk about an Anambra party. Remember I said to you that while Ojukwu was there, APGA was making a lot of effort, at least to win the Southeast. And its presence in all the Southeast states was felt. That was why Rochas rode on APGA to win in Imo. Unfortunately, after Ojukwu died, the guys who took over the leadership of the party did not have Ojukwu's principles of, cultivating the 5 Southeast states. And then what I'm telling you now is my own interpretation of the situation, because I've been in APGA. I was in APGA when Ojukwu was there, and I've been in APGA since Ojukwu died. One of the problems that we have had is not just in APGA. I see that problem in Labour Party now. I see that problem in NNPP. It's the problem of when you have a party that has a National Executive Committee, a National Working Committee, and a Board of Trustees. Then you come and say that the leader of the party is the governor of a state. It sends the wrong signal. Because if that governor, for any reason, is not interested in growing the party, it is difficult to grow that party. And that is what I have always agitated against. A governor being, even the leader of the party in the state cannot be the governor.
But who?
The chairman of the party. The governor is under the chairman of the party. The governor became governor by the mandate of the party. The chairman was there before he became governor. Okay. So you are not leader, and that is what has displaced our politics. You have a leader of the party who is the governor. Even the chairman waits for the governor's dictates. So it means that the party cannot run independently. But the way we are supposed to play politics is that the party is supposed to control the governor. If a governor is doing well, it is the party we should run to. But it doesn't happen. Then you find a party like APGA where the governor is the national leader. It's not even the leader of the party in the state. He is the national leader. And then if you find a national leader who is not really interested in growing the party outside the state, it becomes a clear, difficult scenario. And that is the scenario we have in APGA. We've had from Peter Obi to Willie Obiano. Ask yourself a question. Between Peter Obi and Willie Obiano, how many senators did APGA produce in Anambra? How many?
Not one man wearing red cap.
No, he appeared under Labour Party. He wasn't senator under Peter Obi. He wasn't senator under Obiano. Is it not an anomaly to you that you have a party who has ruled a state for 16 years and they don't produce a senator? It's not an anomaly. Yes. So what it says to me, and what I want you to derive from it, is that if you have a government who is technically not even interested in the party winning Senate, how much of interest will they have in the party winning other states? So that is the dilemma of APGA. Every state functions independently without any support. So whatever you see happening in Enugu is Enugu doing it. Whatever you see happening in Abia is Abia or Imo doing it. But I think that one of the biggest difficulties I had was when Rochas left, because Rochas had Rochas had a bigger objective in his politics. He wanted to galvanize the South. Even when he was in APGA, he was trying to galvanize the Southeast. So when Rochas left and went back to what we were doing, it came back to each state to itself, and that is why we are where we are today.
Okay. It would appear that in the 2023 elections, I don't know whether APGA was able to secure all its votes at the polling units, because maybe, just maybe, you didn't have enough financial muscle to have polling agents everywhere. And so it would appear that your people couldn't keep track of all their votes. Now, 2027 is around the corner. How will we ensure that what happened in 2023 will not happen again in 2027?
At the stage we're at now, that is not our problem. At the stage we're at now, our problem is mobilizing the party to be able to present a candidate that can win. If you have a candidate that cannot win, if you have agents, which results are the agents going to bring? Your zero and your ones. So we're at the stage now where we're trying to mobilize the party to see whether we can find a candidate that can win. When we get that, then the other level of securing the votes, you have to be able to get the votes that you will secure. The other level of securing the votes will take care of itself. So first, we're galvanizing the party. We're trying to see whether we can get back at least to where we were before Labour Party, where Labour Party came in. And then we take it from there and see how it goes.
So it appears APGA stood alone in 2023. No alliances, no coalitions. With the benefit of hindsight, would you consider an alliance with some other smaller progressive parties in Enugu to challenge the mainstream political parties? Or do you still want to
As a person,
or do you still want to stand alone?
As a person, I'm an advocate of a two-party system.
You are?
An advocate of a two-party system.
Okay.
For our level of political development. And why I'm an advocate of a two-party system is that I believe that opposition needs help. If we have a two-party system, it will be a help. It will push the opposition, to be a bit more visible and vibrant. And any government that has a vibrant opposition has a tendency to do better. Because there's somebody who is going to be telling them another way of doing things or calling them out when they do the wrong thing. So I'm an advocate of a two-party system. So I'm open as a person to aligning with people of similar, beliefs and objectives to make the party stronger. You get nothing if you run a party that is not as strong as you want it to be, and then you stick to it and hold on to it, and say no, we don't want to march. I believe that our democracy will be better served by having a lot fewer political parties. So yes, I believe that APGA should have progressively sought alliances. APGA should have progressively sought alliances, both at the national level particularly, because most party alliances happen at the national level.
As a retired, do they call you a retired bank manager? Was I actually a bank manager?
Yes, at the time I was a bank manager.
Okay, so as a former bank manager,
yes,
who believes in accountability,
yes,
and prudent management of resources,
yes,
what measures would you actually advise the current leadership to put in place to ensure transparent management of party resources?
Leadership of APGA.
Yeah.
No, the resources are managed transparently. One of the biggest challenges of party politics is that there's a lot of money unaccounted for. But in APGA, under my watch, every money that comes to the party goes to the party account. There's no issue of that money comes in and it is for these people and they share it. It didn't happen. So every money that comes, if we're having an APGA meeting and you come in and say, APGA people, I like you, take 50,000 and drink, it goes to the party account.
Not the IWC.
No, there's no IWC. If the man comes to your house and gives you money, you can eat it. But if he comes to a party gathering, and we send it to the party account, and that is what has continued happening. So that transparency in record keeping, is something that we set up and it's still happening.
Okay, before I leave the issue of APGA and talk about state and national politics, what sacrifice or what major sacrifice do you think that party leaders of government must take to reposition APGA?
It's not just party leaders, it's even the people who are in office. And I say it and I say it, leadership is easy once you remove self-interest. Leadership is simple once you remove self-interest. If you have no stake, if you have nothing you want to get from it, you will do well as a leader. You may not do what people want you to do, but you will do something that will stand the test of time. So once we remove self-interest from leadership, a lot of the other things will fall in place naturally. So my advice would be, politics is not where you make money. If you want to make money, you go and do business. Politics is where you provide for other people to have a better life. How you measure the strength or how good a governor is you look at the smallest people in the state. How are they faring? How were they faring before he came? You don't measure his strength by looking at the rich people and whether they are richer. No. So first, the sacrifice people need to do in leadership, whether it's party leadership or national leadership, is to remove self-interest. Once you remove self-interest, you will be able to think clearly and deliver, whatever people expect you to deliver.
Let me ask you straightforward. If APGA had won Enugu State 2023, how do you think that, since you said that you believe that the chairman of the party should be the leader of the party in the state, and then a governor elected under such a party should actually be under the control of the party chairman, so to say.
That is the expectation of our political.
Now, as we without considering that APGA had won the 2023 elections,
yes,
and the control of the state, what did you have done differently from what the current governor is doing?
I didn't contest for governor. I would still have probably have a party chairman.
His party manifesto.
Yes, I will still have a party chairman.
Okay, so what do you think?
And I would have provided an environment where people can come to me if they're unhappy with the government, because that is what the party is supposed to do. If people are happy with the government, they should be able to go to the party, and the party will be able to go to the governor and say, "Look, this is what." Because if the governor is not doing well, it should affect the party. So I should have been able to provide an environment where people could come to me and say, this is not what you guys told us. This thing is not happening properly. So I'll be the first critic of the government. I may not do it openly, I may not go to the press, but I will on a regular basis engage him to tell him how the people feel. So that I'm sure I would have done, and that I'm sure our candidate knows that that would have happened. So the party has a role. The party has a major role in their candidates doing well, and they also have a role in calling them to order if they're not doing well. And this thing started in 1999. In the days of Jim Nwobodo, have you ever heard Jim Nwobodo is the leader of the party? You will never hear. Did you ever hear Zeke is the leader of the party?
They called him
Did you ever hear Shagari was the leader of the party?
They called Zeke the leader of NPP.
Zeke.
Yes.
Did you hear Shagari as leader of NPN?
I can't remember.
No, Adisa Akinloye, who was the chairman, was the de facto chairman. Because that is how parties are supposed to be run. But we've turned everything upside down. Once a governor is elected, everybody subsumed under him. Nobody can even tell him, when he's going wrongly. It doesn't work.
He who pays the piper.
No, which piper do they pay?
He dictated the tune.
No, it's not true. Which piper do they pay? How do they pay the party ESCO? The party ESCO can survive. If you're a chairman of a party, you can survive without a governor paying you. So those are the challenges that we have.
Okay, let's leave that. The Tinubu established the Southeast Development Commission, and people clapped and said, "Oh, that is actually trying to reintegrate the Igbos into the mainstream of Nigerian politics." Do you share that belief? And looking at what they've done for 1 year plus now, do you think that such the Commission is living up to its mandate, so to speak?
First, I think that establishing such a development commission within the context of Nigeria, within where we are, with the way we play regional, tribal, and ethnic politics, is something that you can understand why it has been done. But if our governors were doing well, if our governors knew their rights, those commissions, I think, impinge on the responsibilities and authorities of the governors. But having said that, it's been instituted in all the geopolitical zones.
Yes.
Yes, and I really don't think there's a lot they can achieve or they could have achieved within that. I don't know how much money was released to them, and I think that you cannot develop that kind of commission without expecting them to do some kind of sensitization, which is what I have seen them doing. So I don't know how much. The problem I really have with some of those commissions is when you establish such a commission, and then you set up a big board that even makes it difficult for the commission of politicians, a big board of politicians, makes it difficult for the commission to operate professionally and efficiently. That is the challenge that I have. I don't know their mandate. I don't know what they're expected to achieve. I heard them talking about rail lines. I heard them talking about
to integrate the Southeast, in terms of infrastructure and all that.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. That this is in the territory of the governors. The governors could have come together and worked together to deliver exactly what the Southeast Development Commission is supposed to deliver.
They can still work together with them.
Yes, they can. But setting it up is a realization that the governors cannot come together. Because we've done this politics since 1999. And the Southeast governors have not been able to come together to solve one problem or to do anything together. So the commission for me is an indictment of the governors. They haven't been able to come together. Now, unfortunately for the commission needs the governors, to be able to be effective and efficient. That which I think is very unfortunate. But the governors own the land. You can't do anything in the states without the governors. So I'm waiting to see how it's going to work efficiently. I think it's a political election, political gimmick. How it's going to work, I'm waiting to see. It's difficult to work. It's difficult to achieve. The governors have their own ideas. The commission has their own ideas. Where are they going to meet? At what point are they going to agree on the same things? So I'm waiting to see. My expectations, I'm not disappointed with where they are because I didn't expect them to do better than they have done. Being that the whole process is not a very clear process.
Virtually every month or so, or once in 2 months, there's this body that has existed in the South. It's called the Southeast Governors Forum. Many contend, and sometimes eloquently, that they're just a mere backslapping group.
Yeah.
That come together once in a while, and they started with the Southeast Economic Summit. They started with the Security Summit. And people are looking to say, what have they achieved? And they call that they should disband such a jamboree working group. What's the assessment of the Southeast Governors Forum?
I think it's a social club. I don't know why you call it a working group. I think it's a social club. It's where the governors meet to, converse and share champagne and then discuss, social things. I don't think it's a development agency because we've had this since 1999. Like I said, we've had different governors, so it's not about the individuals. We had different governors. If it was workable, it probably would have worked among some of the governors. So it's a social club, and when it affects their interests, what they discuss are things that affect their personal interests, not the states that they govern. There was a conversation we had sometime in 2011, 2012. And somebody said to me, when we were complaining that Peter Obi didn't come in 2011 to Enugu to campaign for the party, then somebody said to me that I should go to Anambra elections and see whether any Enugu governor has ever come to campaign. Or whether any Ebonyi governor has ever come to campaign. And they don't go to campaign in those states. So Peter can't come to campaign here. And I went back and looked, and and that's why I say it's a social organization. When it is their interests, they look after themselves. It's not about development. It's not about helping the states do anything. So we didn't form them. So when you're saying we should disband them, you can't disband what you didn't form.
Should they be disbanded? by
No, but we
themselves.
didn't fund them. It's a social club. It doesn't help us in any way. So if they want to keep meeting socially, it shouldn't worry us.
Okay, let's talk about Nigeria on a mandate they will stand. This is getting almost 3 years that APC-led federal government has been in power under Tinubu, so to speak. What's your candid assessment?
Well, my assessment is not different from everybody else's assessment.
I don't know what I
Where
don't know everybody's
where
assessment.
where I don't see, and what it tells me is that I don't think we're not a problem solving people, because it is no longer about When Obasanjo came with complaint, we said remove this man. He's not good. He handed over to Yaradua. Yaradua was worse than him. Yaradua handed over to Jonathan. Jonathan was worse. In fact, when Jonathan was there, we were shouting, clueless, doesn't know anything. Get this man out. We got him out and put Buhari. And you would have known think that nobody can be worse than Buhari. But every successive government, we've complained louder than we've complained before. So the question now is, what is the problem? Is the problem our selection of leaders? Because we've successively selected worse people. Obasanjo, Yaradua, Jonathan, Buhari. So when they are there, we say it can't be this bad. We need somebody else. When that person comes in, we say, this person is even worse. So Tinubu is just following a trajectory that we've always had in our political system. And when people talk about APC, it's not about the party, because a lot of people don't even believe in parties. It's not about the party. 6 months ago, we were talking about PDP in Enugu, as if there was a problem with PDP. It's not about the party. All of them have left to APC. Nothing has improved. So it is really not about the party. It's about the individual. And I think that Tinubu got certain things wrong from the beginning. I think that those difficulties he created for himself at the beginning are what are still manifesting today. The fuel subsidy subsidy is gone, statement on day one. Then what happened to our Naira? Those are things that from the beginning created a problem for his government that they're still grappling with today.
Your impression about INEC and its timetable for 2027 elections?
Well, what they did, the timetable was not set by INEC. The timetable was set by the National Assembly. And what was surprising to me is that, we showed what was important to us as a country when they moved the elections because of a proposed Muslim holiday. Now, and that is what surprises me as a country. On those Muslim holidays, we go to work. On those Salah, people go to work. Christian holidays, people go to work. How did an election become a major constraint to our observing those holidays? That is the challenge that I have. Some other countries, they have days of elections. If you have any other thing on that day, you shift it. So I think it's time that we have a day for our election. If it falls on a Wednesday, Thursday, so be it. But we know that in 4 years' time, we're going to have an election, like the American elections. There are days for those elections. If it falls on a Monday, so be it. So it shows what is more important to us as a people. And the input of INEC in that decision, I don't know how much it was, but the speed with which the National Assembly changed those dates tells me that it's not INEC that is at fault. It's the National Assembly. And then INEC is just one part of the electoral process. As long as we have this our do or die attitude in politics, there's very little INEC can do. Security agencies are also part of the electoral process. So the problem is not just INEC. The problem is INEC, security agencies, but more importantly, us, the politicians, who want to win at all costs. And when you want to win at all costs, it's difficult for anybody to stop you. So we need to look at ourselves first and decide where we want to be and how we want the country to move forward. The problem is not just INEC. It's all of us together. I just need to tell them that, in my opinion, the worst is behind us. Tomorrow must be better than yesterday. my prayer is that their consistency will be repaid soon. And I think that 2027 elections coming soon, that anything can happen. Nobody knows where the pendulum will swing. They should stay the course. This is not the time to down tools. They should stay the course and let's see what happens in 2027 election. But I want to thank them for their consistency and for their support for the party.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Doc, for inviting me.
Okay, to our viewers, thank you for being there. Join us same time tomorrow for yet another interesting edition of Political Conversations. Have a good night.